Hello everyone and welcome to On Sprue Review. My name's Violet Sun and today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Fafnir Rann model from Games Workshop's Horus Heresy range. This was released as part of the Black Library celebration for 2022. Fafnir Rann appears in quite a few of the Siege Terror books and is quite a cool character, I think. He's the captain of the first assault cadre of the Imperial Fists, which just means he's a very nasty man with these axes. Today I'm going to be having a little look at what's in the box and just giving you my opinion on it. So let's just have a little look at the box before we look at the sprue inside. The artwork is much improved. Box has got a little bit boring recently, with models just standing in dark voids. The graphics on this are much nicer. Got some burning city with CG flames, very evocative of the Siege Terror, which I think is where the Horus Heresy is going to be focused for a little while. Also seeing a new logo, which is pretty cool. And on the back of the box, got more pictures of the model, some nice detail shots, and some painting instructions, which are nice for both old players and new, just to give you somewhere to start with if you want to do a paint job, somewhat like the box. So, inside the box, we find a few things. First of all, no plastic tray. I actually think this is a massive improvement. Although I think the plastic that was being used to hold the sprues in the boxes was recyclable, it was a bit unnecessary, I think. Maybe helped prevent the minis getting damaged a little more, but I've never really seen too much shipping damage on miniatures. It does happen occasionally, a part will be separated from the sprue, but with the shrink wrap on the outside of the box, it doesn't matter. They can get pretty mangled and you still get your parts and still have your model, which is what most of us buy these for. Have a little look at the instructions, which are black and white, which was a little surprising. Games Workshop's instruction booklets are normally printed in colour. I don't know if this is just a cost saving or because this was a short run and they want to do something simpler. But they're still perfectly readable instructions. Got sort of five steps separated into sub-assemblies within the step. Quite a complex model for only a single figure. 25 parts in total, which is quite a high parts count. But I think that's mostly just to get the amount of detail. Speaking of which, let's have a look at some of that detail. Yeah, let's start with one of the most characterful parts of the model, of course, the face. It's a very nice, unique sculpt for Fafnir here. He's I can't remember if he's actually described as having a beard within the novels, but the artwork of him's always been this kind of grizzled warrior, and I think this captures his rough and tumble attitude quite nicely. You will notice that he has quite a flat base to the sculpt, which will fit nicely with this, obviously with the model as intended. But if you were wanting to put a helmet or use his head on a standard neck joint, you're going to have some problems, like I'm having problems with my focus. There we go. Yeah, it's not going to be the same as a standard ball joint on most Space Marines. Now let's move on to his leggies, because I think this is going to be a slightly contentious point of the model, strangely. He's quite long-legged. I'm quite sure this model is the proportions are closer to the new Chaos Space Marine line and other recently released Space Marines, in that they're quite tall compared to the previous Firstborn line. These have been done in a very similar way to the Primaris Space Marines, in that you've got the back of the leg detail in one piece, and then the front is a separate piece, which works really well, especially with this Mark III armour. Previous sculpts of this armour, you end up with some loss of detail in kind of the angles here, and just having these separate plates allows a lot more intricate castings to be done. Especially on this front plate here, this little tiny Imperial Eagle is very detail, very fine detail, and this extra is kind of this extra detail around here, much like the Terminator, Cataphracti Terminator captain that was released Betrayal of Kauth, I think, originally. Details very nice throughout, not too much loss to being a plastic model rather than resin. Sometimes you can end up with quite stretched details around edges, and they're all pretty minor. There's a little bit of draft angle had to be added around here, for instance, but I don't think that's going to notice too much when it's painted. Tilt shield, again, very fine detailed. Let's move on to the axes, which are enormous. These are, I mean, a Khorne champion wouldn't be disappointed if he turned up to work and had to use these. They're very beefy, larger than the artwork of him has previously shown, but I don't mind that. A little bit of exaggeration for tabletop is fine. Expecting very small, fine weapons on tabletop miniatures is it can be fine. I think they look better for display miniatures, but when you're trying to spot what someone's armed with from across the table, I would much rather have exaggerated weapons. Let's have a little look at the front of his armour. Got really nice chest detail with some very nicely sculpted laurel wreaths. Of course, the mandatory skulls. Nice little chapter symbol, chapter number rather, sculpted on his crotch plate here. And some little extra power cables, which is a nice little detail. A lot of the Heresy miniatures, that's a more common thing, is extra power cables rather than being hidden under the plastron of the power armor. Of course, Fafnir Rann is known as a master of shield-based warfare, and he's come with quite a nice shield. It's been designed to be slung over his back, and there's a strap to kind of show how he's holding it onto his power pack. Unfortunately, this is kind of covered up some of the detail here. Not a problem if you're intending to build the model as intended, because there's a nice little sword, scabbard, and the buckle for the strap that sits on top of this. And here's a view of those. Not quite sure how he retrieves this this weapon from on his back, on behind him, over his backpack, and on top of his shield, but it's a nice little detail piece. And of course, speaking of the backpack, he's got this Imperial Fist kind of a reliquary mounted on top. The backpack is two pieces, which I think is to facilitate some extra detailing here. There's some, I don't know if you can quite see that, but there's some grills on here, which obviously wouldn't be moldable if you've got a single piece backpack, given that they're coming in from the side. I think the only bits we've not really looked at are his arms, which again, some very, very small Imperial Aquillas. It's got some tacet plates with yet more Imperial iconography on them. Some nice little grenade and pouch pieces, which will just help detail the model up, give you some things to bulk him up around the waist. Oh, and he has a nice little pistol pouch as well, which is a little non-standard. Doesn't look like many of the other Space Marine bolt pistol pouches, but it looks nice. Some nice detail, little edging, piping on it, on the flap. I know he is a captain, so we'll allow him to have some non-standard equipment, I think. Oh, and of course the model comes with a helmet, although this one has been stowed. It should, I think, attach onto the back of the shield along with some of the other equipment. It looks to be more of a Mark II style helmet than the rest of his retrofitted Mark III armour. But it's a nice inclusion. I would have rather have a helmeted head to actually put on him as well, but that's quite easy. Most people who collect an army of Space Marines will have that kind of thing. Now I'm going to do a little section on what I'm going to do with this model. It's definitely going into my collection. It's a really nicely detailed model, very characterful sculpt. I've seen some really cool conversions already done using this body, but I think I'm going to build him mostly as is and as Fafnir Rann. I didn't mention earlier, but he doesn't have rules in his booklet, which a lot of the 40k models do these days, at least a cut down version of their datasheet. The rules for Fafnir Rann were released on the Warhammer community website, and hopefully are still there if you're looking for them. He's quite a good close combat combatant, and gives some nice army buffs to breachers and I think phalanx warders as well. As you know, that's his specialization. I think I'm going to do a slight conversion. I want to model him holding his shield, which obviously is going to involve cutting away the strapping, modifying his arms a little bit, actually adding a grip on the back of the shield so he can hold it. But I don't think that's going to be too much work. I might be a little bit lazy and model across where the strap is across here, model some battle damage. I'm planning on doing some Imperial Fists with quite a lot of battle damage, so there might be conveniently a sword slash that's cut through the detailing on the shield where this strapping is, because I think I can remove most of it without damaging the underlying detail, but resculpting some of this is going to be quite challenging, but we'll see how it goes. If you would like to see what I do with this model, links are on screen for my Twitter and Instagram accounts. Twitter is where I generally post most of my updates on current projects. Instagram tends to be more finished things, so if you want to see him sometime soon, he'll probably appear on my Twitter. I generally take an absolute age to finish any models, as anyone who's already following me will realise. My project, I get a bit hobby butterfly and swap around, but I'm quite inspired to work on Fafnir here, so who knows, maybe you will be seeing my very light conversion of him sometime soon. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been useful and that the footage has helped you either decide you want to buy this figure or you don't want to buy this figure, or just give you a better idea of what actually you get for your money. If you would like to see more videos like this, I'm planning on putting them out somewhat regularly. Obviously, it depends on when I buy some more models. Subscribing will help hopefully let you know when I'm putting up more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching. Like if you liked, comment down below what you would do with this model.